Let's talk about space, especially satellites, low Earth orbit. Yeah, as you might know, recently there are more and more companies launching satellites to our Earth's orbit, and the majority of them are low Earth orbit, which means their orbit is quite low, very close to the Earth, and those satellites will they just rotate really fast. They spin really fast. Because if you derive the formula, you will find out that the higher your orbit is, the slower you will rotate compared to the Earth. So those satellites can basically circle around the Earth in 90 minutes. So it's very fast. And the problem with those satellites is really happening because there are too many of them already, and so there's a risk of explosions and collisions because too many of them sometimes they will collide with each other, and there was actually some case they really need to uh, control the satellite manually to prevent the collisions. That means the density of satellites in the low Earth orbit is just too high. And you may wonder what are they? Some of them are satellites that are not working, and some of them are actually rocket stages, which means that when you launch a rocket, you will have a lot of different stages, and some of them they just stay in the lower orbit. So that's why we have so many of them. As for how many of them, there are over 20,000 low Earth objects. They are being tracked, and there's also estimate that there are over 1 million objects in lower orbits that's larger than 1 centimeter radius. So we have 1 million more of that. 1 million of them. That's really a lot of them. And just imagine that's actually like uh, a lot of different airplanes like flying in the sky. And if there are 1 million airplanes flying in the sky and 20,000 big airplanes, that's definitely some chance they will collide with each other, right? And that's why this really is really a concern. And not to mention, there are more satellites being launched in the next 10 years. Definitely, there will be increasing a lot. And also, when those objects, they say just like a slightly the parts of satellites, if they collide with each other, then they will be fragments. They will be fragmented to more different smaller parts. Then those smaller parts will increase the chance even more, the collision chance even more, because even like a so small part of the satellite that hit the really big satellite that's working, and they can just completely destroy the working satellites. So that's really problem. It's really problem. So it's more like we have a lot of space garbage that we didn't really collect then. And the problem that this is in thing happens really like this is a common collective own resources. It's like ocean. People in the past actually they people just dumped so much garbage, even like nucleic waste to the ocean, and no one didn't really care about until uh, 20, 30 years ago. People started to be more aware of that, and there's more laws, more restrictions, more concessions being constructed, being built, so people has the better protection of our oceans. But sometimes that's already too late because this kind of destruction it's really hard to reverse. So I would really say our lower orbit it's really like that. And now no one really cares about that. People just launch satellites whatever they want, and some satellites that's not working, some parts not working, still they just let them stay there, right? And in the future, they say 100 years later, maybe the people when they really want to leverage their satellites low Earth orbit, they won't be able to use because they're already like full of trash, right? So how do we solve this problem? Is really we need to sit together like those space companies, those space superpowers. They need to sit together and figure out what rules do we want. And there are actually two different solutions, major solutions, I would say. One is to build up a life cycle as a tax, which means when you launch your satellites, if it's not working, it's not functioning, you must collect that. So it's a you have the responsibility of your satellite's life cycle. Now, currently, is if the satellite is not working, you just let it be. You just let it there. You just put it there. You don't need to collect them back because actually collecting them back it takes a lot of money. So that's why people rather not do, right? But we have to have this kind of regulations to make people collect their own satellites, waste satellites. And another solution is like we need to, when you launch your satellite, you need to pay some cleaning fee. Maybe you don't have to collect deorbit your satellites. Deorbit means collect back your satellite. Maybe you don't have to deorbit by yourself, but you need to pay some certain amount of money. So when your satellites are not working, then there's some organization that will be responsible to collect back your satellites because they charge you. So that's two solutions that I think could be working, and we really need some people to lead this. And yeah, people are launch really a lot of low Earth orbits satellites to the low Earth, to the space. That's just too many of them, and the number of these is increasing. So that's the thing that I want to share with you. I think it's a serious problem, and not many people really talk about that, and because it's just not affecting people immediately, but it's a thing. It seems like if you look at long term, we really need to start taking actions now. Okay, so anyway, that's what I want to share with you today. If you would like to receive more technology review like this, don't forget to subscribe. And other than that, I will see you next time.